Yesterday, representatives of the Russian Defense Ministry announced new successes of Russian troops in the Avdiivka direction of the front. According to official statements by the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, units of the group of troops under the designation center have significantly improved their position in the area of the settlement of Berdichi, having managed to inflict fire damage on the 143rd and 71st Infantry Brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. It is reported that in the last 72 hours alone, the Ukrainian armed forces have lost about 400 soldiers, 7 infantry fighting vehicles, and 2 tanks in this sector of the front. Moreover, many Ukrainian and Russian war correspondents confirmed the fact that Russian troops managed to significantly advance south of Berdichi, as a result of which the reserves of the Ukrainian army located in the western part of this village found themselves under heavy fire. Let me remind you that in early March, during the retreat from Avdiivka, the armed forces of Ukraine lost the village of Berdichi. However, later, at the cost of the lives of thousands of reservists of the Ukrainian army, General Sersky managed to push back Russian troops from the western part of this village. At the moment, the fighting for this village continues, and judging by the latest data, the armed forces of Ukraine still will not be able to hold Berdichi, and will finally retreat in the next 7-10 days. According to Ukrainian telegram channels, if the armed forces of Ukraine loses Berdichi, it will be a disaster, since the Russian army will be able to attack the village of Okratino, the capture of which will open the way to the western borders of the Donetsk region. Western military experts also confirmed this fact. According to them, if the Russian army establishes control over the villages of Berdichi and Okratino, then the Russians will be able to reach the western borders of the Donetsk region without any problems over the next 6-7 days. Moreover, while President Zelensky was telling French journalists another fairy tale about how the Ukrainian army managed to normalize the front in the Avdiivka direction, the Pentagon launched personnel purges in the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine. So, it became known that the Americans fired the commander of the 47th Nationalist Brigade under the designation Magura, Lieutenant Colonel Dmitry Rumshin. Later, on the same day, Colonel Yang Yatsishin was appointed in his place. The dismissal of the commander of the elite nationalist brigade Magura shocked the Ukrainian telegram channels. None of them can understand why the commander of the elite brigade was fired. Well, I guess I have to explain everything that's really going on. The fact is that the 47th Elite Nationalist Brigade under the designation Magura, consisting of ardent Ukrainian nationalists and foreign mercenaries, is in the financial custody of the Pentagon. The Americans regularly finance this brigade by supplying its fighters with the most modern Western weapons, including Abrams tanks. It was to the Magura Brigade that the Pentagon transferred the American tanks and most of the Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. However, despite the strong support from the Pentagon, the Magura Brigade failed to meet expectations of the American generals. The Ukrainian nationalists not only failed to stop the advance of Russian troops west of Avdiivka, but also managed to lose 6 Abrams tanks and 2 M1150 assault breacher vehicles within 10 days. According to insiders in Kiev, after the loss of such a large amount of American military equipment in the Avdiivka direction of the front, General Sersky was harassed by Pentagon generals, who ordered him to urgently fix the situation. Most likely, it was for this reason that the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine gave the order to dismiss the commander of the 47th Elite Nationalist Brigade Magura. At the same time, it is worth noting that many Ukrainian experts refuse to recognize the obvious failures of this nationalist brigade on the battlefield. According to them, the dismissal of the commander of this brigade is not due to failures of this brigade on the battlefield, but to the fact that the CIA and the main intelligence directorate of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense allegedly are getting rid of all those who support General Zelensky in order to prevent the possible overthrow of President Zelensky. Meanwhile, the Russian military department showed a video of the destruction of another U.S. multiple-launch rocket system HIMARS. At the same time, the Russian military confirmed that this was the second American-made multiple-launch rocket system, destroyed in a week. The footage shows how the Iskander ballistic missile strikes just a few meters from the multiple-launch rocket system. However, this did not prevent the ballistic missile from destroying the HIMARS itself, and the combat crew of this system. Unfortunately, the Russian military department did not report the exact place of the destruction of the American multiple-launch rocket system. However, some Russian telegram channels, citing their own sources in the Russian military department, stated that this multiple-launch rocket system was destroyed near the city of Pokrovsk, in the area of the village of Shevchenko, 60 kilometers from the line of combat contact. Moreover, they also confirmed the deaths of 5 Ukrainian soldiers and 3 qualified high-ranking U.S. Army officers, who directly operated this multiple-launch rocket system. Let me remind you that a few days ago, on March 5, near the village of Nikanorovka, 50 kilometers from the line of combat contact, a Russian Iskander-M ballistic missile also destroyed the HIMARS multiple-launch rocket system. At that time, Russian sources also reported the deaths of 2 U.S. Army officers and about 15 Ukrainian fighters of special forces, who guarded this system. According to Western analytical centers, the number of destroyed Western military equipment has increased rapidly over the past 2 weeks, indicating that Russian military intelligence has significantly expanded its capabilities in Ukraine. And this fact greatly worries the NATO leadership and the Ukrainian General Staff. Despite all precautions, Russian missiles are still managing to destroy Western multiple-launch rocket systems and air defense systems. If the West continues to lose its tanks, multiple-launch rocket systems, and air defense systems in Ukraine at the same pace, then the capitulation of the Kiev authorities will not take long to wait.